While we were working together, we released some microfibers, which are scar tissue in the connective tissue, and then we also did some tension reduction exercises. What happened during the tension reduction exercises that led you to see that the tension that you were carrying around with you came from these accidents and stresses at work and things like that? What happened?
The tension reduction exercises brought back these events quite vividly. And in a number of instances, I could tie directly where I felt stress and felt tension to environments or events. And just by working through it and trying to relive them and to understand them, they were very vivid.
When you were out on the course, how did it feel swinging the club now compared to what it was in the past?
When we hit balls this morning, it felt much easier that I would swing with a proper sequence and use more power in the lower body than I'd ever done before. And I think the ball flight certainly showed that.
What happened to the ball flight when you used your lower body?
Two things, much higher and much longer.
We went through a bucket of 60 balls, went straight through them basically without stopping. How would you feel if you did that at home before we did the microfiber reduction?
If I had hit 60 balls in the time frame that we hit them this morning, I would have been pretty sore.
How did you feel after going through that bucket of 60 balls this morning?
Bring on 60 more. Throughout the week, as we've progressed and helped with this, I've noticed two things. I breathe easier and my body feels lighter, and I'm now much more aware of the environment. And even eating a meal is different today than it was a week ago. It just has flavor and fullness and richness, and that was not the case a week ago.
Since we've been releasing all this tension, what's your sleep like?
My sleep has improved significantly. We had a very good day yesterday. I went home last night, I had an excellent meal, and almost fell asleep instantaneously, and woke up actually oversleeping a little this morning.
Earlier in the week, you had a conference call.
Yes.
With some other people, and you noticed something different about your thinking. What was that?
I am on the board of directors of a company, and also on their audit committee. And during the course of both meetings, the discussion tended to stray from the topic at hand. And I found myself being frustrated with that, wanting to get back on track, and in fact mentioned it in both meetings that, hey, let's look at what we're talking about here, and let's get the answers to what this issue represents, rather than going off and on multiple tangents.
Is that kind of behavior, was that kind of typical of you before?
No.
So in a way, you've kind of become more assertive after we've released microfibers and improved your breathing?
I don't know that I would say assertive. I'm certainly a lot more aware. And because I'm aware, I have no problem saying, hey, we're drifting here, let's get back on track. Not trying to run the meeting in any way, right, but time is a wasting, and there's no reason to get off track.
The other guys in the meeting, were they willing to get back on track?
Absolutely. I don't think they even realized that they had drifted as far off track as they had.
And you attribute the fact that you realized it to your greater awareness?
Yes, absolutely. Just the clarity in my thinking, I think, is a direct result of improved breathing. And therefore, when the topic is kind of drifting, it's easy to say, oh, we're drifting, let's get back.
When you first came here, we measured the expansion of your chest, how many inches it expanded. Do you remember what that was?
I think it was under an inch.
It was half an inch. And then we measured it just the other day. What did it have?
It had improved to 3.5 inches.
How does it feel to you now when you take a breath compared to the way it felt when you only expanded half an inch?
When I first arrived, breathing was very difficult. In terms of trying to take a large breath, I couldn't do it. And now I can breathe much deeper, and the volume is clearly increased fairly dramatically.
How does it feel to have a chest that expands 6 times more than it did before?
When I'm consciously breathing deeply, the ability to do it really is very refreshing. I feel like I can release tension much easier by breathing deeply. Even this morning when we hit balls, I started to take deep breaths and it just calmed me right down.
There's 2 things that we recommend that golfers do on the swing. One was to bring their hands up to the swing plane to improve their alignment, and the other is to start the downswing with the left knee. When you started here, you had a conventional swing and address where your hands were dropped below the swing plane, and you started your downswing by shifting your hips. You've really only had a couple of days to incorporate these completely different kinds of things. First of all, a completely different address setup, and then a completely different downswing sequence. How does it feel to you to have made those changes? Was it difficult for you to do, or?
The raising of the hands to the plane was very easy. I still need to work on the takeaway in terms of the tempo of that takeaway and to keep it on plane. I tend to go below plane a little bit, even with my hands high. The sequencing is not the easiest thing in the world for a traditional golf swing person to have. We tend to move everything from the core, and it takes a while, but we work through different exercises to enable that. And when it works for me, because I've got the sequence down, which is not every time, I hit it really, really well.
One of the things that we did this week is I showed you a well-known golfer who had this sequence.
Yes.
And this was a golfer that you had seen many times before,
Yes.
Both on, televised and stuff. Were you surprised to see that this golfer had that sequence?
I had never noticed that this particular professional had the sequence at all. And in watching the analysis, it's quite pronounced. And the swing is just sensational. He's not a huge man, but he can hit the ball a very long way.
When we were out there today, there was a guy who came up to the range who was about a foot taller than you, and he was hitting the ball the same distance you were, but he was spraying them all over the driving range. You remember that?
I certainly do. In fact, I think, Bob, I actually outdrove him. It's a very nice feeling.